Today, Ken and I will be assembling this 8x10 Suncast shed. First thing we're going to do is open up both of these boxes at 250 pounds apiece and get out all of the parts and spread them out around the foundation. This shed comes with a lot of hardware, so we want to get all of the hardware organized nice and neatly where we can see it. Ken of Momentum Maintenance is a handyman serving the Denver metro area in Colorado. I can't recommend him enough. First step was to put the windows on the front doors. Putting the ceiling around these windows was not something that was very easy. It was kind of a pain to get it to stick, but being former apartment maintenance, Ken had a screen roller on hand and the screen roller worked pretty well. Next of the window installation process is pretty straightforward. Slap it on there, line it up, and screw it in. Repeat this process for the other door and window. Next step is to mount the top and bottom lock to the left door. I don't know how I feel about this next step where they have you screw in the flimsy screen for the vent on these front and back headers, but this is something that can be easily modified later. Then we're going to screw down these header beams. I feel like every single instruction in this manual says not to over tighten the screws, so use a drill at your own risk. Slide roof ridge beam bracket under the tabs inside the front header and repeat for the rear header. Now working on the ridge beam pre-assembly. And it definitely helps to have some quality tools when assembling these nuts and bolts. Now we're at the roof and truss pre-assembly. Make sure you look at the diagram, the illustrations carefully to make sure that you don't mount anything upside down like I did. Rinse and repeat the same process for the other truss. When attaching these side adapter brackets, it says not to over tighten as this could make roof assembly difficult. Pretty sure we over tightened anyway. Next step is to attach these skylight gaskets onto the roof. This went a little bit easier than the windows at the initial steps of this build. Just got to make sure everything lines up and all the screws go into the holes, or else you're going to have a leaking shed when it rains or snows. Now Ken's flexing the corners while I'm looking at the next step ahead, which is the foundation. And it is also pretty straightforward. Just snap together the left and right pieces, line up the two back pieces, and then just screw everything in. You will need a lot of screws for this step. Then it's time to assemble the walls, starting with this side piece that goes down into the grooves and then slides in. A rubber mallet or a nice sturdy boot may be useful here. Following the instructions, most of this is just like Legos, the building blocks, putting everything into the slot and making sure that everything is flush. The instructions for this shed say do not attempt to assemble this shed on windy days, and these are the steps right here why you don't want to do that. Everything is flimsy until you get the whole perimeter up. We did these steps a little bit out of order, but it's not a huge deal. Just make sure that you use the tool provided to torque down these screws. It's also very important to make sure that the corners snap into place, making the frame completely square. When attaching these front and rear headers, Ken made it look easy with his 6'5" frame. Glad he was around to do it. Step 25 has us screw these screws into the header. Everything still feels flimsy, but it's coming together. Then we slide these two truss assemblies into place and secure them with the famous J screws that we've been using pretty much this entire assembly. Then raise the ridge beam up into the rear header and secure it just with one bolt and one nut. Do the same for the front, but don't tighten down yet until it's in place. Once it's straight and in place, feel free to tighten down on both the rear and front headers. Attach the roof truss assembly to the ridge beam. Attach the 4 truss straps to the 4 side adapter brackets. I feel like there should be 8 of these, but what do I know? For the roof assembly, we just want to make sure that all of these roof panels line up. It's pretty straightforward. You just got to make sure that they do snap into place. This is another part where it's very handy to have a step ladder and an extra pair of hands assembling these rooftops. Next, have one person pull down on the outside of the roof while the other screws in from the inside. Securing the roof to the truss, 6 screws total. Now install the remaining roof supports. with one person pushing down on the roof from the outside while the other is inside, sealing the roof with the 9 sealing screws and rubber washers attached to 3 hinges to the door. Slide the door hinges into the hinge receptacle. And if you didn't prior to this, make sure that your foundation was completely level. This is the part of the process where you're going to find out if it's level or not, as the doors are not going to close right if you don't build this on a perfectly level foundation. We got a little excited here knowing that the end was near, so some of these steps are out of order, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference. We're just putting on the door hinges and handles. Shed assembly is now complete. I am just tampering down the gravel in front of the shed so the doors open a little bit easier as it's scraping across some of them. If you want to see how my dad and I built this gravel pad about a month ago, check out the video above. This shed comes with 2 corner shelves, which seem amazing. And I'm going to be buying additional shelving for this shed. Let me know if you want to see a video on that. That's the 8x10 Suncast prefab shed, just for some size perspective. This is a wheelbarrow, plenty of room for this to be stored. Took us a little less than 4 hours to put this together. 2 handyman. You need a handyman in Denver, Colorado. Ken from Momentum Maintenance is your man to call. I use him with all the projects that I can't handle myself. A couple more modifications I'm going to make. I'm going to be siliconing all of the gaps all around the shed, and if you want to, depends on where you're at, but here in Denver, if the top header is less than 8 feet, you do not have to secure it to the ground. If you're somewhere where there's a lot of hurricanes or tropical storms, you probably have to secure it anyway according to your city. Do whatever your city wants you to do, or if you want to secure it down. There are holes all around the base of the shed where you can do so. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Dave. This is Ken. Until the next one, hope to see you there.